Guys, there are spoilers for this film and this review. So, if you don't want to get pinned down, go watch the film, then come back. You have been warned.
Hey guys, welcome back to another week of Ticket Tuesday. I'm your host, Woon-A-Tai HD. So yeah, this is going to be a great time.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Ticket Tuesday. I'm your host, Woon-A-Tai HD, and this week we watched Warfare, the new A24 film, directed and written by Alex Garland and Mendoza, who this film was actually based on him and his Navy SEAL platoon stationed in Iraq. And I will say that this film is genuinely, it is very engaging. It is kind of like startling. It's thrilling. It's like all the buzzwords, but it's genuinely one of the best war movies I've ever seen. But before I go on a whole tangent, why I love this film, I'll tell you why I love this film and more. Back at the house. Oh man, that's a little too close. Back at the house.
Where are you guys?
Look for the blood and the smoke.
Multiple bad guys trying to get to our position.
Inbound! Inbound! Find cover!
1 minute out.
We have enemy on our building and all surrounding buildings.
Roger that. Stand by. Going hot.
You gotta get ready, man. This is gonna hurt. On my count. 1, 2, 3.
Hey guys, and welcome back to an episode of Ticket Tuesday. I am your host, Woon-A-Tai HD, and this week we watched Warfare, the new Alex Garland and Mendoza film written and directed by those two. If you don't know who Mendoza is, he was actually one of the people in the movie, portrayed by Woon-A-Tai. But before I get into the actors, Mendoza was actually a U.S. Navy SEAL, like he was in the movie. And this movie is actually a real thing that happened to everyone in the movie. And by everyone, I mean everyone. Down to the civilians in the building. This film happened. Everybody in this movie was a real person. So obviously, it's like one day in the battle of I don't remember the name of the town or like the city that they were in, but yeah. And this film takes place in real time. But before I keep rambling about that, who was in this movie? As before, obviously, I mentioned Alex Garland, who you may know from Civil War recently, that came out last year, which I made a review about, which you could watch after this video. Please don't leave. I need the engagement. But also, if you don't know that, you may know the 28 days later, 28 weeks later, 28 years later, the 28 movies. He wrote those. He did not direct them, but he did write them. Basically, he is the creator of the 28 movies. Then, obviously, who else, aside from Woon-A-Tai? I'm sorry if I'm not saying that correctly. I'm sorry if I just continue to butcher that name. So, Will Poulter was also in this film, who wasn't a douchebag. Right? But he also didn't die either. Very unconventional Will Poulter role. But all seriousness, he played like the commander of the group before I'll get into it later. I don't want to spill all the beans first. But then there was also Cosmo Jarvis, who played Elliot. And Elliot is very important because this movie was actually dedicated to him. This film was made for him. Because in the movie, he gets fucked up. Right after an IED explosion, he loses his leg, right? It seems like he's dead, but he's still kicking to this day. He is still alive, and he was even there for, I believe, like, the premiere screening of the movie. Which, you know, really cool. Really cool. And it was just, like, nice to see him, you know, doing okay for the most part. You know, obviously stuff, but at least he's still alive, right? But then, who's the other one? Oh yeah, Joseph Quinn was also in this movie, who played Sam, the other member of the group who got really fucked up from the IED explosion. But I'm not going to ramble about the actors all day, but I will say the actors all did a phenomenal job. They did great. The directing, the writing, all of it felt so natural. All felt so authentic, right? Even the camera shots were like kind of like up close, you know, they were personal. Kind of like felt not like you were there, that's kind of a cliche thing to say, but like it felt intimate, I guess is the word that I'm looking for. But when we're talking about specs, I really think we should talk about the sound design, right? I watched this movie in a theater, obviously, so maybe if you just watch this at your house without a decent sound system, it may not be as, like, I think, honestly, some of the best parts about this movie was the immersion, right? Because whenever, like, gunshots would go off, it was just so loud. I mentioned this in my Civil War review, and it holds true here, right? Like, the gunshots shook the theater, and that's how it should be, right? In a movie like this, like, obviously, the gunshots should be startling, right? They should make you jump, because it could be quiet, and then boom, because that's what it's like, right? Gunshots are loud, right? And that, why do you think people in gun ranges need to have earmuffs on, right? Because, like, I've heard, like, people who, like, fire guns a lot without earmuffs and without stuff like that, their hearing goes, right? Because guns are that loud. And I just really liked that immersion bit. And sometimes, like, I've heard there's a rule. I don't know exactly, like, the exact rule, but apparently, like, in, maybe not just in the military, but whenever they teach you about when you're getting shot at, there's, like, certain noises that, like, a bullet whizzing past you will make, right? If it's, like, a snap or something, it's, like, far away from you, or for, like, to crack, it's, like, really, like, it whizzed past your head, right? Like, if you, like, listen, they use that. Right, I don't know how to describe it. Just the sound design was so good. You kind of just have to watch the movie, and you'll get what I mean. Like, it was so good. And then, like, the explosions and the jet just like zooming past. It's so good. So, and it makes you jump, as I said before, but in a good way. I don't know. I'm rambling. It was just so good. It was so good. And then how about the movie, like, the story itself? This movie was mainly a one set movie, which obviously being a movie that is in real time and about kind of like one of the most realistic war movies I've ever seen. Of course, you're not going to have a billion sets, you're not going to have all this fancy stuff, because, I mean, in reality, they probably would just be hunkered down in one spot for like an hour, right? I mean, obviously they were like pinned down and had injured men, and they were in a really hot spot, so they couldn't move, right? They couldn't move even if they wanted to. But they were supposed to hold, I think. They were supposed to hold there. They weren't supposed to move. But I really like one set movies, like Rear Window, Reservoir Dogs. Those are just like some popular examples. I guarantee there's like a one set movie out there that's like really good that I just haven't seen. But I personally love one set movies, or like mainly one set movies. Like sometimes maybe they'll have like one or two scenes that are like outside the one set, but the majority of the movie is in that one singular set, and I love it, right? Because it forces like pretty much everyone in the movie to like get out of their comfort zone, right? To think outside the box, because obviously with a normal movie, you could just like have all these different scenes, you could have all these unique like settings and areas and lighting and themes and stuff, but with a one set movie, you have to do a lot of work with one thing. And I think with a good director and a good writer, or both, obviously if it's a writer-director, it can get so creative. And honestly, like one set movies can be better than movies with like a billion sets, right? Because, I mean, obviously, I don't know. I'm just rambling. I really like one set movies. And this movie does it really well because it's claustrophobic, kind of. Because the building, like the house, is like really compact, right? And like it's like there's so many people inside the building, right? And they're all like scrambling, yelling, screaming, like trying to figure out what to do, and it's like really frantic. The whole movie is chaos, right? Like so basically what happens is everything is going normally, right? So essentially these Navy SEALs have like kind of linked up with these Marines, and they're in a building, right? And they have a sniper, Navy SEAL, like a sniper, and they are basically surveillance, to see if the insurgents in the area know that they're there. And so eventually it is revealed that, yes, the insurgents do know that they're there, right? And they just out of, like, it looks like it's normal, right? And then, boom, they just throw a grenade straight into the sniper guy's room, right? And there's two other people in there. There's, like, this newer guy who's the saw gunner, I believe they call him, and then another one of his, the sniper, one of his buddies, right? And the grenade goes off and nobody dies. There's not even that many bad injuries, but Elliot, he like gets, his hand gets injured. So they're like, okay, we need to evacuate, or like evac. We need to get you out of here. So they call evac, and then a tank pulls up after like 10 minutes. In real time, by the way, so you actually like have to wait. Like obviously, this stuff happens. They're not just standing there for 10 minutes, but. Also, I really like that. And then when they get out there, just boom, an IED goes off. And one of my favorite scenes of the movie was the aftermath of the IED, because obviously, like in movies, explosions are treated like bursts. They're like, ooh, an explosion. Now let's carry on with the rest of the movie, right? Like a lot of action movies treat explosions like that, and obviously, the big fiery, like fake, like movie explosion. This movie treats an explosion, like an IED, like a big explosion, like the fucking scariest thing ever. Because it is. Right? Like explosives, like big explosives are fucking terrifying. Because they can fuck you up. Right? And in this movie, it fucks them up. Like Sam, Joseph Quinn, he like looks over and there's this dude, I think it was because they actually had like these Iraqi soldiers that were like translators that were with them too. I believe it was one of them, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was this dude who just like the entire lower half of his body was just gone, right? He was blown in half. Like his limb, like there were limbs everywhere. There was like not everywhere, but there were like limbs everywhere, and there was like screaming. And one thing I really liked, the audio. Again, back to the audio design. It was so quiet. You could hear a faint ringing, and like you could barely even hear the characters talk. You could like barely hear the gunshots, and it went on for like I want to say like 15 minutes. Maybe not 15 minutes, but it went on for a long time. Right? Like, it didn't just blow up and then there was, like, a short, like, couple-minute scene of the aftermath of the ID. It was a long, like, what is it called? What is it called? Getting their bell rung, I guess is what they say. So, they get their bell rung, and then pretty much the rest of the movie is just absolute chaos, right? They try a lot of things, right? For, like, the next 20 minutes is just absolute chaos. They have no idea what to do. And then the like third act is basically just them trying to, fix the situation. They call in for backup. They call in like, guys to get their injured men out of there. And one thing I really like about the movie is like, again, how everybody in the platoon is affected by it. Like, even if they weren't in the blast radius, like if they didn't, get hurt, like get their fucking leg removed like Elliot, you can still see the ones that maybe weren't even blown back by the explosion, but you can tell like it knocked them, right? Like Tommy, he was the new guy. You could tell like the whole movie he was on edge, right? Ever since the grenade went off in the like in the little room, the sniper room, he was just like completely on edge and just so like mortified. Right, which is understandable. He didn't have nearly as much experience as anybody else there. And, like, I just love the little reactions. That they're all different. Every little interaction from the characters is different. Will Poulter's character, you can tell he's got a bit of shell shock, right? Like, the rest of the movie after the IED, he's just, like, he can't get his head straight. He can't focus. He can't, like, listen. Before in the movie, he was, like, really able to multitask and do things, but he just couldn't, right? Because, like, yeah, he was, I don't know. It just felt so authentic, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm sorry about rambling here. I do want to wrap this up. But overall, the film just felt authentic. It felt immersive, right? It just really got you engaged. Like, it was on the edge of your seat. Like, I thought at any moment, like, one of them could have just gotten shot. So, there was just something about this film where it made me think that anybody could have died at any moment, right? Anybody could have died at any moment, and it was like edge of my seat, like, what's going to happen? And I love that, right? it got me invested. It got me engaged, right? Like, holy shit. Like, it all went wrong, right? Because, I mean, obviously, I don't know. It was just so good. I'm sorry for rambling. I just really, really like this movie, and I think you should watch it. Because, I mean, if you liked movies like Saving Private Ryan, American Sniper, what's the other one? There was another one. Was it We Are Soldiers? If you liked We Are Soldiers, like these big, like really grand, very praised war movies, right? I think you could get a real good kick out of this one. Maybe not a kick, maybe that's the wrong term. You could enjoy this movie because I think it does a really good service to veterans and to the people in the movie because, again, it doesn't sugarcoat anything. And I can really appreciate that about it. So I would highly recommend it for war movie fans, even action movie fans. Because even though the action isn't, like, bombastic, it is still very visceral, I guess is the good word. So I think this film is a really nice tribute to, the troops that, served in the Iraq War around this time. I think it's a really good tribute because, again, as I said, it's authentic, doesn't sugarcoat anything, doesn't, like, dramatize it, doesn't make it more fantastical, and I really like that aspect. And maybe if you are a veteran, if you have served, and maybe not just the Iraq War, if you've served at all, maybe you could get some appreciation out of this film for to me, maybe since I've never served, maybe you could get even more appreciation out of it if you have. Maybe just a suggestion, though. With that being said, what would I rate this film? I think I've got this concrete. I think I would rate this film an 8 out of 10. And, yeah, I think that's what I say. Thank you for my piece. So, guys, hope you like this video. Share with friends, subscribe, turn notifications on. Comment down once you liked it, but you guys know how it goes. I didn't really mean to say that. What I really meant to say, so if you guys hated this video, unsubscribe, discontinue me in the comments. And I've been Woon-A-Tai HD, off to support the troops. So, like, this movie had Will Poulter in it, right? I've been viewing a lot of Will Poulter movies lately. But obviously, he played a real person in the movie, so obviously he wasn't like a caricature or a douchebag who dies. He dies in a lot of the movies that he's in. He doesn't die in this one. Spoiler, I guess. He was like the commander of the platoon, wasn't he? He was like the commander. He was the commander of the platoon. He was going through some stuff. Well, everybody actually in the platoon was, right? They were going through some shit.